Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Can states and cities refuse to help with federal immigration enforcement? And if so, can the president withhold federal funding to those cities and states that refuse to cooperate? The questions are of increasing relevance as major metropolitan areas respond to the Trump administration's immigration crackdowns. Joining us now is former U.S. Attorney Paul Charlton, a partner at Dentons law firm in Phoenix. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining
me, Ted.
All right, let's talk about this. Cities and states, can they refuse to cooperate with these federal actions?
The short answer is yes, they can. But you can't go so far as to obstruct the federal government. So if the federal government comes into a town and they say, we want to bring ICE out here, Immigration Customs Enforcement, we want to arrest folks who are here unlawfully, the cities can refuse to participate in that action, but they can't stand in the way of the federal government seeking to enforce those laws.
Can the federal government say that by refusing to cooperate, you are standing in the way?
They can't. And one of the reasons they can't is longstanding U.S. Supreme Court law, Ted. And you may remember when the Brady Bill was first put into play. That's a law that says the federal government is able to do background checks on people who are going to purchase weapons. When that law first came into effect, the government, the U.S. government, required states to pay for and enact each one of these background checks on their own. Local sheriffs, including local sheriffs from Arizona, objected. They said the federal government can't compel us to do something in compliance with their own federal laws. And Justice Scalia, one of the most conservative justices on the Supreme Court at the time, said, that's correct. You, federal government, cannot compel the state to do something they don't wish to do, and something for which you haven't provided them funds.
Yeah, I thought about gun laws when we first heard this. It's kind of shoes on the other foot here. It's interesting to see the different response. But how does, like, using the National Guard, if the federal government wants to use the National Guard, and Governor Hobbs says, for this particular reason, I don't think so, can she do that?
She can say, I don't want to use the National Guard inasmuch as I, the governor of this state, am in control of the National Guard. What the president has done in Oregon or attempted to do in Illinois near Chicago is say, well, then if you don't do it, governor of those states, I will federalize the National Guard. And I, as the commander-in-chief, will send the National Guard under federal authority into those states. So it is a different component. We often think of the National Guard helping during bad weather, helping during local and state emergencies. It is unusual, to say the least, to see National Guards federalized and then deployed in states.
Deployed at the opposition of state leadership.
And deployed from one state to another in the opposition. And you may have heard that the governor of Oklahoma, a Republican, has objected to the use of National Guard troops in that way. And what he says is, and it's interesting, I think, and frank on his part to discuss it in this way, he would very much object if someone were to employ as a federal nationalization of National Guards from, say, Illinois and deploy them in Oklahoma to enforce a law that he didn't want enforced there.
Did we see some of this during the Civil Rights era?
We did. We saw some of this during the Civil Rights era. You know your history very well. The National Guard was federalized and employed so as to allow students to attend school when there was overt and open discrimination against African Americans. They were allowed to go into those schools. The National Guard assisted in protecting those students as they went into those schools.
And I'm also, I think of marijuana laws, because some states allow for the use of marijuana, but that's still against federal law.
Precisely. And so if we were to go in, there's a great line by Napoleon that says, if you want to, the best way to get rid of a bad law is to enforce it. You can imagine what would happen if the federal government were to come into Arizona, where marijuana is by and large completely legalized, and to say we are now going to enforce prosecutions of even small quantities possession of marijuana. There'd be a great uproar, and I suspect state and local law enforcement would not assist the federal government in the enforcement of those marijuana laws.
And again, they don't have to assist, but they can't stand in the way.
Precisely. And it's interesting, too, Ted, because oftentimes when you think about local law enforcement not assisting the federal government, and in particular as it relates to immigration-related offenses, there are legitimate, apolitical law enforcement reasons that local law enforcement wouldn't want to do that. And if I could just give you one example, it would be domestic violence. Local law enforcement will tell you almost uniformly, we don't want to have victims of domestic violence fear that it is the victim who will be arrested if we respond to a domestic violence call, because they're here unlawfully in the United States. We want victims of domestic violence to be able to call us if they're being harmed in some way and not fear arrest.
That's nuance, though, and nuance is kind of taking a holiday in a lot of this. But the bottom line is, the Supreme 10th Amendment, states have sovereignty, but federal law is supreme.
Correct. And so the 10th Amendment, you're exactly right, says the federal government has specific rights, but every other right that isn't called for, that isn't specifically assigned to the federal government, the states retain those rights. And one of those rights, says Justice Scalia, is to enforce their own laws and not be compelled to enforce federal law.
All right, let's talk about being compelled to force federal law. What if a president in the White House threatens to withhold federal funding to a certain area, metropolitan area, a state, because those leaders are not agreeing to cooperate? Can that be? Is that legally possible?
In narrow situations, it can. If the law that's seeking to be enforced specifically says from the federal government, if you don't enforce these laws, we can withhold federal funds if it's related to the law, and if it isn't coercive. So, for example, you may recall, Ted, that there was a period of time when the speed limit in the United States was 55 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. What the federal government said to the states was, look, you don't have to have a 55 mile per hour speed limit within your state, but if you don't, we're going to hold back on federal funding for your highways. That's a law that was related to the highways. It was a law that was specifically allowed for that kind of federal funding, and we need you to go 55 miles per hour. If the president here says, I'm not going to give you $1, California, for example, if you don't enforce the federal immigration laws, those two things are completely divergent and separate. And it is likely, if that goes to court and goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, it will be found unconstitutional.
It's got to be specific to that particular action, correct?
Precisely.
All right. Local law enforcement, is local law enforcement required to protect ICE agents?
They are required to protect all who fall within the ambit of their jurisdiction. So if ICE agents are being assaulted, it is local law enforcement's job to go there and protect everyone. The problem that local law enforcement often have is that there isn't good coordination between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement. And that's not unique to immigration law. You'll find that, and I've had that in my experience for many years. Oftentimes the two don't communicate. But you can put local law enforcement in a bad position if you, in federal law enforcement, are acting in such a way as to put yourself in danger and then requiring local law enforcement to come, if you will, to the rescue.
Yes. I want you to, running out of time here, but I want you to comment on this post by Attorney General Pam Bondi, the statement. This is a quote to states and cities. You better be abiding by our federal policies with our federal government and law enforcement, because if you aren't, we're going to come after you. What do you make of that? That
it's performative and not something you could ever enforce in the courts. And so there's a certain segment of the population who likes to hear that, but were you to try to truly enforce that kind of statement in any federal court, I'm pretty sure you'd lose.
Yeah, the idea of it being coercive, I mean, the Supreme Court says you can't do that if it's coercive.
Well, and we go back to this very idea that I can't compel local law enforcement to enforce a federal law. They can make that decision on their own.
Before you go, where's all this headed?
Well, I suspect it's on its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we'll have to see how it is they rule. As you know, Ted, there have been many, many decisions that they've made so far that have been favorable to this administration, some few that have not. There are very many conservative justices who in the past, like Justice Scalia, who have found this to be offensive to the Constitution. If they follow that precedent, they'll follow here and say it's unconstitutional to compel local law enforcement to enforce immigration laws.
It'll be interesting to see. Paul Charlton, former U.S. attorney, partner at Dentons. Always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.